Hey, what's up guys? Today's Thursday. Just got back, had a dinner, Thai curry, but I'm gonna talk to you guys in this video about something a little touchy or sensitive for some of you guys, aka quote-unquote Asian men considered attractive in North America or Western society, including Canada, United States, Australia, UK, Netherlands, all those that Western influence on those countries. Mostly Anglosphere, meaning that they have English culture inherited. There's some influence on English culture in terms of language, in terms of food and whatnot. So United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and UK for sure. And some of those countries who speak a lot of English, like Netherlands, Denmark, something like that. So I'm gonna tell you my personal experience and observation, but to tell you guys, cut the chase, and tell you my brutally honest opinion about if Asian men are considered less attractive than other people in North America. I have to say it's true. It's true. And the reason why I'm talking about this one, Asian men considered unattractive, is because I came across this interesting article. It is a Zoom in Japan article. Show you guys this article. I'm gonna post this link of the article. But saying basically dating in Japan as a foreign woman is not easy. I agree. And saying here, this is a guy, this is written by a German guy who has lived in Japan for a long time, maybe 15 years or so. But this sentence stood out to me. Some of us will go through a hard time here in Japan. You will start to feel completely unattractive and ignored at times. Of course, you're gonna get a lot of attention. There's always this staring going on, but it's not necessarily because you're attractive. It's just you are different and unique, and it just stands out. And that is completely true. Dating in Japan as a foreign woman, it is going to be difficult. First of all, a language barrier. I've been talking about that in my number of videos in my channel. English barrier. Second of all, it's cultural difference. What is expected as a woman by Japanese men or Japanese society as a whole, right? You date Japanese guy, but Japanese guy is consolidation of all the cultures and influence and thoughts and belief system, the value system passed on from their parents and friends and peers and colleagues and all that, right? So remember that it's aggregation of all the values passed on, expected of by other people to him. And third of all, dating, for example, like what it is expected of women in Japan, it's so different from maybe Western society standard, especially when it comes to work and family and stuff like that, but also when it comes to how they behave, femininity, in terms of how they behave, how they treat people, how they consider a person, a girl, a cute, a feminine. And this is coming from the low context culture versus high context culture. Japan is a high context culture country, meaning that has a lot of subtleties, a lot of nuance and sophisticated way of communicating messages through different forms, but communication like could be in art, in a form of let's say Japanese calligraphy, or could be about anime manga, or could be about a lot of non-verbal contextual informations are carried around when you speak or when you interact with people in high context culture. Whereas if you're coming from low context culture, like let's say Australia, New Zealand, Canada, UK, then they don't necessarily add a lot of implication or implicit meaning to what you say, how you behave, right? There's not much going on. That's why it's called low context. It's more direct, more assertive, whereas high context culture is opposite of direct. It's more indirect, subtle, nuanced. And that has huge impact on dating, because when it comes to communication with partners, a lot of stuff are misunderstood, right? Plus translation get lost, like meaning get lost between translations, right? But anyways, the reason why I'm saying Asian men are considered unattractive in general as a whole in a society, in Western society cultures, like low context culture. I'm talking low context culture, Anglosphere, Anglo-Saxon people's cultures are equivalent to Western society, which are pretty much equal to those countries that I already named. But the reason being, as I said, if you're foreign women in Japan, you're gonna feel unattractive. You start feeling unattractive or ignored because not many Japanese men would chase you, so you feel like you're low in demand. And you have definitely less options if you're foreign women trying to date Japanese guys there, because not many people, first of all, cannot communicate, but on top of that, many people might not find you attractive based on cultural difference in terms of how they define a beautiful woman, right? And personality-wise as well, and also physical appearance as well. Are you in shape? Are you looking in like a cute or certain way that most Japanese men prefer, or whatnot? Regardless of that, so this is like a relative stuff. But anyways, and then let's talk about Asian men in North America or like in the Western society. Are they actually portrayed as attractive in media, like movies, TV shows, commercials, all that stuff? Even like you can see that, like how big a presence those people have in politics, in career, in a profession, right? So if you think about that in a long history, maybe 10, 20, 30 years of Hollywood media histories, like Asian men are portrayed as either Jackie Chan, super duper ninja kind of warrior, athletic, acrobatic type of guy who has strong English accent, or they are portrayed as soft and nerdy and neutral or feminine, kind of a nerdy type of guy, either a scientist or engineers, or just long hair and wearing glasses and ill-fitted outfits. And basically, they are not portrayed as attractive men who would be protagonists in romantic movies. It does make sense because Asian people immigrated to North America, like Western, like Anglosphere societies in the past 50 years or so, right? So started from like refugees and Vietnamese and stuff like that, and then mass immigration of Chinese, Australia, New Zealand, UK, United States and Canada, mass immigration with Chinese people, and such Vietnamese. And of course, they're immigrants in the beginning. Right now, they're like a second and third generation Americans or like Canadian Asians. But before that, they weren't main players in those countries and societies. So their presence was really soft and small in terms of political scenes or in companies or in terms of school, like dating. So of course they are not gonna be like protagonists in a movie, in a romantic movie, right? I understand that. They come as like a foreigner before. And that kind of perception of Asian men have been perpetuated even still now 2019. And it is a fact, and I cannot change that. And because of that, there's not much of a positive portrayal of Asian men in those media, which had humongous influence on people's perception of people, because that's kind of media controls a lot of perception of people, right? They can manipulate ideas and concepts. So if you don't see those people, and if you see those people, let's say like the Big Bang Theory, the Indian guy has strong accent, it's kind of funny, but it's in a neutral, platonic way. He's not gonna be in a romantic movie, right? So that's the thing. Or some movie, Indian guy as, playing that taxi driver scene, or Chinese guy as a kung fu master, or Japanese guy, the guy who was in Star Trek. I think he's Asian, right? So that kind of a media exposure impacts a lot of people's ideas and perception. So that's why Asian men are considered unattractive. Some of the reasons, but big reasons why, you cannot deny, overturn this fact because it's going through right now. So yeah, this is definitely affecting a lot of Asian men in North America. It's not just only because of this media control and the way they portray Asian men, whereas like Asian women are treated or like portrayed as mysterious and feminine and even sometimes sexualized, exotic, whereas Asian men are not treated as such. It does make sense based on our facial feature. I can say, there's like a research about it. how people find a person or an animal cute. And the cuteness is coming from rounded feature. So more rounded that their faces are, we find them more cute. Meaning that Asian people have more round face, and femininity and masculinity in the spectrum, left to right, Asian men tend to be on the farther end of the femininity spectrum, because soft, skinnier, smaller feature, physique wise, and also like a round face. Whereas masculine feature, Western perception of masculine feature, but I think it is kind of a true, based on a lot of researches, masculine feature is a lot more about in the thicker neck, pronounced cheekbone and jawline and stuff like that, big, thick, strong, and that is kind of not so close to what Asian men look like, because they have like a round face and like skinnier, smaller. Whereas like American or Australian guys who typically show up in like movies and stuff like that are typically possessing those masculine features. So I understand that. That's why it's easier for Asian women to be attractive on a women's like a femininity scale, but Asian men to be a little bit less than other people in masculinity scale. So I don't understand that, how it works. Anyways, so that's that. And there's nothing you can really do in like next 5-10 years. Society changes quite slow. So, it's something that you cannot control. Meaning you cannot control people's perception in a mass scale, because it's already done by movies, already done through the childhood programming, through exposure to TV and a TV show and movies. So you cannot undo over time what's already done in terms of damage. But also, I'll tell you the fact that a lot of still like immigrants coming into like North America, like Western societies, and a lot of them are Chinese, right? And a lot of them actually don't necessarily carry a good fashion style sense. A lot of them are actually naughty looking, especially software engineer type, right? They don't really pay attention to how they look. And also they have bad manners. I'm not gonna back up and not gonna lie. A lot of Chinese people have bad manners, and that really perpetuates people's, or maybe like confirms people's perception about Asian men's stereotype, because majority of people are like that, then most people's impression and perception of that is going to be that, even if there are always going to be exception. So net effect of majority of people is going to be probably negative, and that's the reason why, especially those ideas already exposed in the media, it's really hard to undo that. So the solution to that is to not wait for culture and society to change next 20, 30, 45 years past your peak. The solution is to change what you can change, the variable that you can change, which one of them, and one of the most convincing attributes that I can think about, which I've done already, is move yourself out from those places. Right? There are some countries and societies and cultures where they're not exposed to that necessarily like negative portrait of Asian men. For example, in more Central Europe area, for example, or Southeast Asia, right? It's more neutral. So go somewhere where there are not much negative impacts, propagated in those areas. Big example would be a lot of people in like, let's say, Central Europe, relatively a lot of more people than I would say Western societies. I'm not saying absolute term, but a lot more people have positive impression about Asian cultures, because they fantasize, or it's far away, then they're gonna fantasize more. Kind of grass is greener on the other side. So North America, I don't think anybody's gonna fantasize like about the Asian culture, because there are so many tons. 60% of I think California residents is Asian, right? So I don't think those people would fantasize, because they're just already wary of those immigrants or like people every day, right? Whereas if you go to an area where you don't find many Asian men, then people is gonna start noticing your uniqueness, and that's maybe some of the reasons why it is. It might be effective to change where you live, and you can't change other people's ideas and belief systems. So you need to change what you can. Overall, I just talked about Asian men are considered unattractive in general in North America or Anglosphere, and yeah, a lot of Asian men probably would feel unattractive or feel ignored, just like foreign women in Japan would have felt like that. So it is not just specific to Asian men in the world. It could apply to foreign women in Japan, especially Western girls would have a hard time dating Japanese men in Japan because the power dynamics are different, you know? So that's it. If you found some of the topics and concepts that I mentioned in this video interesting, or if you have something to share, do comment in comment section below. But anyways, this is my idea, subjective idea, but I've traveled a lot, Central Europe, Asia, North America, and I can say for sure North American standard or low context culture's standard, which is Anglosphere Western society's standard, is not necessarily the truth, the only truth. It is quite often biased, and I wouldn't trust those ideas, especially a lot of what they think attractive. It is quite biased. So it's better to get out of those places if you don't like them and find a place that treats you better. That's it, guys. I'll see you guys next video. Bye bye.